On today's episode of DanceMed Spotlight, I'm speaking with Rachel Hennin, the National Director of Headliners Dance Championships. One of the things about headliners is they are striving to foster tomorrow's headliners. They are supporting dancers of all levels and abilities, making sure that they're getting proper training, that it's inclusive, they're promoting personal growth, a lot of different elements. And one of the things that I really love about this episode, not only is it the first time that I've had a chance to interview someone from this dance competition or convention space, but getting a little bit more insight of what they do that might be a little different than others, or things that go into the decision-making process, how they're supporting the dancers and the adults that are there supporting the dancers, and a lot more. So if you want to learn more from this perspective of someone who runs one of these dance competitions and convention weekends, make sure that you check out the rest of this episode. Welcome back to another episode of DanceMed Spotlight, where we talk about all things dance medicine and dance science. Today, I am excited for our guest, National Director of Headliners Dance Championships, Rachel Hennin. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Rachel, my first question for folks is, what got you into what you're doing now? So I guess first maybe tell us, what is Headliners for folks not familiar, and then what sort of got you to the position that you're at working with them?
So first, Headliners is a national dance competition. We go all over the country and we have our truck full of our equipment. We go in there, we set it all up. We have staff who fly in or drive in from all over the country, and kids from local studios come and compete on our stage. That's kind of the basics of Headliners.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got to this point, I started working with the company about 13 years ago. I started really doing basic office work, and really they just couldn't get rid of me. I just kept saying, "Hey, can I do a little bit more? Hey, I have time. Can I do this?" And that turned into touring, going out on tour. And I've worked probably every position that's out there. Some of them are a little bit more technical. So I don't think I could do them now. But I kind of just got my hand in everything. And then the opportunity came up where I was brought into the national director role. And I've been doing that for about 5 years, I think, at this point. And it's been super rewarding. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I want to kind of talk about with headliners in particular, when we're thinking about a lot of the different dance competitions that exist, and there are a lot of them around the country. One of the things that I feel like is perhaps a bit more unique is when you're having some of the workshops and things like that for the dancers, it's not just the typical choreography-based or technique-based things. You also have folks come in and talk about maybe nutrition or, things to support the dancer, not just the actual dancing itself. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that just makes Headliners what it is, we're trying to just do a little bit more and give them that opportunity, right? You talk about our conventions. They're one day, they're on Sundays, and you've already brought your kid, right, to this event. They're here, they dance all the time. And we provide, the typical classes and sometimes things that are a little different, but, there are so many other things that we can provide them, right? We have so many people on staff with a wealth of knowledge, right? We're connected to so many people within this dance world that we can go, hey, you have all this experience. Let's provide it to these kids, right? Nutrition is just something that's really important overall, whether you're a dancer or not. And that was something that when we had the opportunity to do it, I was like, let's just roll with that. That's a great idea. And we split it up between 2 ages as well. So we had one for like the younger group, kind of the 12 and under, and then for that 13 and over as well, because those are 2 different sets of how you view food, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of, we had a career mentorship seminar on our last one as well. And same thing, somebody who is in the world, is booking, right, can look at these kids and give them real knowledge and real information about what to expect, and
Mhm.
to help give them support, say, hey, if you want to think about this, like, let's have that conversation. So I think from headliner standpoint, it's just important for us to be able to tap into the people that we're connected with and say, hey, dancers, we have this available. Like, we're gonna provide it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so awesome. And I think it's such a great opportunity because it truly is sort of like, in a way you have a bit of a captive audience to be able to share some really important information to help with their longevity as dancers and help, you know, reduce the risk of injury or other
Yes.
things that come up. And so if we can share that information with them when
Yeah.
we have them as an audience, then let's do it.
Right. Yeah. We're looking into PT as well.
Mhm.
To have people come in and talk about how to take care of your body, right? You have to, as a dancer, that's so important. So to
Yeah.
have things like that available to them is just, yeah, it's something we're very proud of. I'll be very honest.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because I've I've been I've been a dancer my whole life. I never was a competitive kid growing up, but I work with enough competitive dancers now and have been on site at some of the dances that it's like, yeah, we have a lot of opportunity to share some of that information. So as soon as
Yeah.
I saw that, I was like, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit also about sort of the experience of being at a dance competition, um, and an opportunity to really build some community there. How do you see that happen at Headliners?
I think, in all honesty, I think it starts with our staff. Um, we kind of all say that this isn't just a job. Like, everybody that's there really wants to be there, right? This is a weekend. You're away from your family. You're away from your animals. Everybody that's at our event with us is choosing to be there, and I think we really do kind of stick by that statement as well, like the competition for dancers by dancers, right? Everybody that's there was either a dancer or a comp kid. Well, not everybody, but a lot of them are, and they also love that community. They love being there for what it is. And so I think it starts with the staff. That's how we start it, right? That's how we build what we kind of call the headliners experience. You know, our backstage managers are, watching these kids be nervous and going, you're not going to be nervous. You love dance, and our MCs are there to hype them up,
Mhm.
and really kind of provide this supportive voice for the kids, so I think the base of how we build our community really starts with us and how we help provide that experience for these
Mhm.
kids.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you're so right. I think the people who are there in all of these different roles really do play such an important part of just like the vibe of the event while you're there.
Yes.
When you have a good MC,
Oh,
they
it makes
set
the event. Oh,
yeah.
it's everything. Oh, yeah.
Exactly, and I've been at events. I mean, I also do swing dancing and compete in
Okay.
swing, and we have a variety of MCs and, you can tell who the seasoned ones are who, like, they have figured out sort of the magic of
Yes.
creating a really great atmosphere within the room, and, like, if something comes up and they have to, it's like, "Oh, we have to kill a little time right now while something's going on back there that it's fine." And they're just on the fly and they can make it happen and make
Yes.
wonderful use of that time. And, yeah, I mean, they are like the glue of all of it for sure.
Oh, 100%. I was gonna name drop too much, but I have to because he's the best person in the
Mhm,
entire world. But our lead MC, Sam, is truly one of the best human beings out there.
mhm,
And he loves what we do, and he creates this incredible environment for these kids. I mean, he is just
mhm,
a wonderful human. I mean, it's just, and it starts there for me. I'm just like, I don't need anything else. Just bring Sam to an event. We're gonna be good. So,
mhm. Just bring Sam into like meetings and stuff too. It's like, hey, we need
oh,
some hype right now.
he does. I have a weekly meeting with him, and he's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Mhm. That's awesome. One of the things that often can come up for kids at these weekends Maybe it's their first time competing or competing with a new piece, a new style. Maybe they're with a new studio and they don't really know like kind of how they fit in with everything. So feeling included and part of that community can be a little bit of a challenge. What are some of the things that you do to kind of help again with that environment? Um, Maybe on that sort of more individual or like studio level way.
Yeah, I think for us, something that we find really important is to really build a connection with the people who are there.
Mm,
Um, and I really see like a personal connection, you know, going up to every studio owner and speaking to them and just kind of learning about who they are, and I personally love to stay backstage and talk to
mhm,
the kids and joke with them. I just try and bring this sort of happiness back there because it can be
mm.
stressful, right? It can be a lot.
Yeah.
You're about to dance under those bright lights and in front of all those people. I get nervous when I go out there.
Mhm,
So I try and be like really fun back there, and especially our backstage managers. They're some of the most personal people I know.
mhm.
All of them are pretty much former dancers, former comp kids, and they just get it, in a way that not many people I feel like do. And they
Mhm.
all understand without me even having to tell them that personal connection, being available to these kids, being available to those studios, answering questions, just kind of being there to say, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? Some of my backstage managers have, oh, you need help with a prop? Hold on, I'll carry this couch. They just get in there. There's no problems. We're there to
Yeah.
be supportive and to really just set the example and the expectation. I think
Mhm.
another way, I guess on that personal level, is my social media team, who just have to shout them out. They're awesome.
Yeah.
um, they do this thing where they will like go up to dancers and interview them and just kind of talk to them. And I've seen Jenna in particular, who works on my social media team. She's awesome. She'll find a kid who's like really nervous, but like just kind of break them down and get them to kind of live in the moment a little bit and just be
Mhm.
happy. That's something that I really enjoy kind of watching as it unfolds. So yeah.
Mhm. I think that's another great example where, when you have somebody who's a really great fit for a role like that, um, interviewing somebody in the moment, that can feel where it's like, "Oh, you wanna talk to me? You wanna hear what I
Yeah.
have to say?" And, like, it's a little like, "Oh, I feel special right now." And I think that's a great way when somebody is nervous about something else or, it kinda distracts them a little bit, first of all, and it gives them
Yes.
that little boost of confidence of like, "Yes, we wanna hear from you. You are
Yeah.
special." I love
And
that.
we also like our name is headliners, right? So we give them their little headlining moment. It's
Mhm.
something. Why not? Let's do it. You're going to be posting on our social media, right? It's your time to shine. Just give them a
Mhm.
little moment. Let them have a little
Yes.
fun. You know.
Yes, and who doesn't love a little extra time in the spotlight? That's for sure.
Yes.
I know I'm always a fan of it's like, "Ooh, I get to do another dance right now." Like swing dancing, you kinda have to like, if you do well enough, you go on to the next round
Yeah.
type of
Okay.
thing, and so when you go on to the next round, it's like, "Ooh, I get to go out there again? Yes. I'm gonna put on a show. This is fantastic."
I always get nervous. I don't dance anymore on that stage. I
Mhm,
just go out there and talk,
mhm,
and I get so nervous. Oh my god. I look at those kids and I'm like, oh wow, I'm proud of you because
mhm.
I'm nervous and I'm up there in my age now compared to these little munchkins.
Right, right. Yeah, and they just go out there and they're just like, "I am ready."
Oh,
It's
when you see
hilarious.
you see these little kids and they're nervous. Oh my god, I don't know what to do. I'm so nervous. Where are my shoes? And then they go out there and it's like a little sass monster and
Yeah.
she is eating up that stage, right? That is her place. And she comes off and she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, was I okay?" And I'm like, "Honey, you just killed it out there. You were great."
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I think that kind of ties into this idea of participating in things like dance competitions and conventions. It gives these kids such an opportunity to just kind of like develop as a human and develop confidence and, a lot of different skills that come along with having to be out there on the stage
Yeah,
like that. I think it's a really awesome opportunity to do that.
I agree. Yeah. The fact that we get to provide that is something that I'm very proud of day in and day out. That like even just as an outlet, right? Yeah, the learning, but like just life is hard sometimes as a kid, right?
Hmm.
That they get to just kind of drop all of that and walk out on stage and just perform a little bit and kind of have their moment in the spotlight. I love that.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
One of the things that I always really enjoy as a PT working with the dancers that I do, I want to get to know what pieces are they doing, what competitions are they going to, what is their dance schedule like? So then I also kind of know how do we need to weave around these things and make sure that
Mhm.
we're not like overloading you, I'm preparing you in the right way, how am I supporting you in other ways, all of that kind of stuff. And man, when it gets to some of those questions of like, so what competitions are you going to? What pieces are you doing? Which one's your favorite? And they just light up as they tell me about
Oh,
those
yeah.
things. It's like one of my favorite things ever.
Oh, it's just so cute.
Most definitely. One of the things, well, I guess actually, before I go down that route, what is maybe something that you think is maybe like a misunderstanding about dance competitions or
Mm.
conventions, whether like how they work or what the environment's like, or I mean, there's a lot of
Hmm.
different ways that that might go.
That's a good question. I don't think anybody has really kind of posed that before. I think, in a way, a misconception. I can't. I'm not going to speak for other comps,
Mhm,
but at least in terms of headliners, I would say this is kind of something we say internally. Is that like it's more than just a trophy? A lot of people see that like the awards session. That's like what everybody's waiting for.
mhm,
Um, and yeah, you get your trophy at the end. Um, but that's not what it's about. It's kind of some of the stuff that we've been talking about, right? Like they get those moments, they really get to shine, they get to experience, dance with even people outside from of their regular studio. You get to meet friends, right?
mhm,
Um, so I think for headliners, the misconception will be that it's just about trophies, right? Or it's just about the awards you get, and it's not. It's so much more. I think that's pretty much universal, probably for the whole dance comp industry. You know,
mhm.
I we have people on staff who've worked at or danced at and worked at other competitions as well, and it's you still build those relationships. You still you know you meet. I have friends from that I've met from other studios.
Mhm.
It's I think it's a pretty universal thing. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Um, One of the things that I often see come up in, like in Facebook groups and things like that too, is how parents or the dance teachers or studio owners maybe are supported when they're at a competition or convention weekend, like what sorts of, whether it's just resources or fun things or like whatever perks do they get when they're attending. So what are any things that you offer from headliners for the non-dancer that is there?
I've always done this thing where I try and give the teachers that come to the event what I kind of call is like an emergency kit,
Mhm,
where we've got some earplugs in there. There's some Advil. There's like a shout wipe. So if there's a stain emergency, right? I've always kind of tried to do that because like there are competitions where they'll give you a tote bag full of the swag and stuff like that,
mhm,
or free merch and stuff. But I tried to approach it from a different perspective of like what could they actually use. I know on some of the dance groups and things, people say I don't need another bag, you know.
right.
Um, and I wanted to kind of go away from that. So that's
Mhm,
something that personally I tried to integrate because I mean sometimes you just need it. It's loud in there. Sometimes you start to
mhm,
get a headache and you just need to take
right.
some Advil or something. Um, I think, and then from my perspective, I go to every event, and my all of my regional directors know this as well. That we go, we really just try and be as supportive to those studios as possible, whatever they need. If they go, oh, that dressing room's getting really cramped, what can we do? I'm on the phone with that venue immediately. Like I
Mhm,
need options. Let's figure this out. Just kind of being that supportive face and voice for them.
yeah.
Um, like I said, even just, do you need help with your props? Right? I've oh god, there's so many examples, but
Mhm, oh, I'm sure.
but just being involved with them, just being there, being
Mhm,
accessible. Um, that's kind of really the base of what I can provide for them. Really,
yeah. Yeah. And that's huge because I mean, I know I've been, whether it's a dance event or something else, if you're there as an attendee and say, yeah, you have a question or you're having a problem with something, you can't find something. The worst thing is when you can't find someone to ask a question to, or, like who can help out in some way. And so knowing that there are people around for that just extra support
Mhm.
is a big thing. Cause, being there and just being like, I don't know where the changing room is and I can't find anyone to ask. That is not where you want to be.
Yeah, no. And the nice thing about our events too is all of our directors are essentially floaters. So we can roam. We do like to hang out backstage because that's
Yeah.
that's where all the kids are, and the studio directors come back there as well. So that's where we can kind of interact with them and help them and answer any questions they might have. But we're always roaming. I
Mhm.
check in with each station. I'll go out to merch. Sometimes a parent will come up to me and ask a question. Um, but it is nice that we're not stuck to kind of one place. We can walk around and really be accessible to people. So yeah, we all
Mhm.
wear staff badges, so you know exactly who we are. So
Yeah.
you can walk and you really can walk up to any of us, whether it's me, my MC. Although try not to interrupt my MC while he's announcing.
Mhm.
But go up to merch, go up to our backstage manager and say, hey, I have a question. And even if it's something they can't answer, we have radios, so they'll say, hey, Rachel, I need you to come backstage real quick, and I'll just head on back there and I'll answer any questions they need, basically.
Mhm. When we think about some of the different things that we see at conventions, so we already talked about, sometimes having some topics that are not our traditional choreography or technique classes or that kind of thing. How do you maybe approach some of the more traditional dance-based classes, like, finding who your instructors are going to be for the tour or what styles you want to offer or, anything like that?
I mean, so let me think. We changed the way that we've done convention, basically. So we used to do the standard ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop. And I kind of looked at my team and I went, I want to be a little bit different, right? You take jazz, you take ballet at your studio. Let's give them something. Let's give them a little bit more of an experience. And so we've started to integrate different styles, right? So I personally, I love musical theater, love it.
Mhm,
And that's a style that is unique. Maybe it's a little sassier, right?
mhm,
Um, so we wanted to do that with people who have a real experience in musical theater. We're trying to bring in more like commercial dance, contemporary floor work. So not just
mm,
contemporary, but focusing more on the floor work of it, right? Trying to give them something that's a little bit more unique, not something they're going to get maybe at their studio. Give them a
yeah,
different experience. Oh, you know what? I learned this, and now let's integrate a little bit more, into my routine. The teachers and parents can watch as well at conventions. So even if they get an idea, they go, "Oh, that was great. My kid did really well at that. Let's use that a little bit." And
mhm,
then in terms of like how we choose the people, um, like I said, we're very blessed at Headliners to really have a good group of people who are so multifaceted and talented,
mhm,
um, and they really are just good people. They care about what we do and they care about these kids, and they're also just insanely talented. Um,
mhm,
and so we use people who are dance teachers as well, right? They know how to connect with these kids who are just ready to interact with these
mhm.
kids in a really authentic way. It's not just we're here to teach a class.
Yeah.
It's let me get in there. Let's experience this together. Let's just have a moment, right, while we
Mhm,
dance. And I truly was in awe at our last convention this year, or the ones we had this year. The people we had with us were just an incredible group, and they
mhm.
all connected to these kids in such an individual way, but such an impactful and meaningful way. Um, and for me at convention, I very much step back and I have a lesser role, and I let those instructors and teachers kind of be the ones to lead.
Mhm.
And they just did such a good job. So I hope that answers the question a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, definitely. And I really like that approach of, trying to provide some experiences that are maybe a little more unique or at least not what they're, getting on a regular basis at their studio. I know I, for several years now, have had the opportunity to attend and or present at the Colorado Dance Educators Organization annual conference. And they do different dance classes for the student track and for the teacher track.
Okay.
But within the teacher track, they always have some different things where it's like, maybe it's, what was it last year? There was Afro-Brazilian dancing,
Oh,
or one year we had some traditional Chinese dancing or
yeah.
Bollywood, or something like that, that is not your typical go to any studio and find this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun and such a great opportunity to just be informed about a different way of moving, maybe some certain cultural context and historical context to certain dances.
Hmm.
And just, things where it's like, oh, this is a different way to listen to the music and move to the music. Maybe I incorporate some of these elements in something else that I'm doing, in choreography that I'm setting for a piece for the spring. Or, for myself, just getting another understanding of how we as humans move to music, and things that we can learn from that. And so I always love when there's those opportunities for something that's a little different from the norm.
Yeah, yeah. We did. We have somebody great who we connect with who did a Bollywood class at our nationals. Loved it. It was just like being able to just do that. They're not going to get that at their studio, and maybe some of them do, but it was just like really cool to be able to provide something so different to them.
Hmm. Most definitely. What is, from your experience being involved in the competition world in a variety of different ways, what's something that you would maybe give as a piece of advice? Let's start to the dancers themselves, of like how to make the most of a weekend or feel most prepared for the weekend.
Oh, I feel like that's such an individual thing. I mean,
Mhm,
hmm, I think for me, I would just say live in the moment. It's not as serious. It doesn't matter if you get an elite gold. It doesn't matter if you messed up a little in your routine. Nobody knows but you.
mhm,
Really live in that moment and just enjoy it. Have
mhm,
fun. Have fun with your friends, meet new friends, just kind of be happy,
mhm,
and really live in that moment. Yeah.
mhm. And it's so true. I mean, I think sometimes, and I've heard this from dancers that I work with too, when maybe there are those moments where it's like, oh no, I just forgot some of my choreography and I'm on stage. Let me just make something up and see what happens. Sometimes those end up being like the coolest moments, where it's like, it's what you're feeling at that second, and what everything is kind of telling you to do. And it can make some really cool moments.
Yeah. Oh, I've had kids walk off stage and go, "Oh my god, I forgot my whole routine." And I went, "You did? Are you sure? Because that looked
Hmm.
really great."
Hmm.
It's magic what they can do. So
Hmm. What about then for the adults who are there supporting the dancers? Any advice for them when they come to a weekend?
cheer, even if it's not your kid. Cheer for everybody.
Yes.
Let's do it. We're here for dance. We love dance. Just cheer. And
Mhm,
that's the biggest thing. My MCs say that a lot when we're starting a session.
mhm.
Um, just say, hey, like cheer for everything. Even if you like it, even if you don't like it, just cheer.
Yeah. Yeah, because it takes so much to be up on that stage, and, all the preparation that goes into it
Yeah,
and that sort of thing too. There's so much to applaud for.
yeah. And we get a lot of what we call independence, where it's kids who either come by themselves, independent of their studio, and
Mhm.
they've got maybe one parent there with them. And every once in a while, you'll hear like be a little quieter, and I'll try and be backstage, be like, yeah, okay, good job. Just because you don't want to get off stage and it's just silent, you
Mhm.
know. And a lot of them do a
Mhm.
really great job too. So cheer,
Yeah.
just go, just cheer. That's
Yes.
the best advice I can give, and just enjoy the dance. Right? They're kids.
Mhm.
Let's just have fun. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we've sorted alluded to this a little bit, talking about some of the other skills that dancers can develop when they're involved with things like these competition and convention weekends. We've talked about confidence. We've talked about just like, getting out there on the stage. What are some other things that you see as like skills that they're developing by attending these?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is really discipline, because you get a performance time, and you have to show up for that performance time, right? And you got to go out there in your little 3 minutes and perform your routine, right? Sometimes you get off stage and you're entry number 7, and then you're also entry number 14. So you got to run off stage, go find mom or go find your studio, right? And start changing your hair, change your costume, and then you got to go run backstage, and check back in again, right? So I think that discipline is a big one as well. And I think also dance overall is really important, right? If you're a dancer, ballet, I feel like it's the foundation of everything, but it's all about discipline, so maybe time management, we'll put it that way.
Definitely.
A little bit of time management, a little bit of public speaking. Sometimes, if you win something, we got to ask you some questions on the mic, So, yeah, I would definitely say, discipline, time management for sure.
And man, that time management, that is the truth. Whether it's at a competition convention weekend or just life in general as a dancer, it is a time-consuming thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
And so time management is a big one. And I always love when I've been on site at the competitions, you always know when it's those dancers who have the really tight timing on numbers, when there's like the mad dash down the hallway, and then it seems like 30 seconds later, the mad dash back, but in a whole new costume. So it's like, stay against the wall. Don't get too close.
I will say Headliners is all about, we give them at least 6 routines in between each of theirs. We don't do quick changes. And if we do quick changes, we are very forthcoming with the studio about that, and they can say no.
That's amazing.
They're kids, right? I'm not going to have some 12-year-old, like, well, you have 3 minutes, get back here. That's not fair to them. So.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it is like a total transformation from one piece to the next, not just like, now just add a skirt.
I know.
If only it were always that easy.
I remember a Wicked theme dance. And they were like, we need this one to go last because we paint her green, and we can't take the green off effectively for the rest of the competition. So we're like, that's okay. That can be the last routine. So.
The things that we need to consider when thinking of the schedule. I love it.
Yep. Always.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want to share from your perspective that you think would be helpful, whether it's for dancers themselves, the adults supporting the dancers, or people like me who are like in the dance medicine space supporting dancers from a health and wellness perspective?
Oh, I feel like it's so simple, but just care about them and just care. I feel like a lot of times we just kind of go through things a little bit too quick. And just kind of slow down and take that second to care about it, care about your dancer, care about your nutrition, right? Care about your physical therapy, and just take a second, breathe, live in the moment, and just care about yourself, care about your classmates, and just support each other,
Yeah. And it goes back to what you said earlier. It's not all about that trophy. It's about all those other things that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Although we do have really nice looking trophies. So
added bonus.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a perfect opportunity for a special segment on the show.
Ooh.
So on every episode of DanceMed Spotlight, we have the final bow. It's essentially the take-home message. If there's one thing that someone listening to this episode walks away with, what do you hope that thing is? Or it could be a couple things.
Could be a couple things. I might ramble. Who knows?
Love it.
I think that at the core, everybody at Headliners is really passionate about what we do. We really, really love it. And we're here because we want to be. And I think that shows in the product that we provide and in the environment that we provide. Honesty, integrity, and passion. I feel like that makes Headliner such a really unique experience. We're all dance competitions, right? We all provide a stage and we play your music and you dance. But we care about it on such I feel like on such a unique level. And just to kind of throw in there, that it was my mother and my grandmother that started this 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I take very seriously the legacy that I'm building on. And I bring that to my events, and I look at the staff and I go, are you going to care about this as much as I do? You know, so I think that's the final message about what we are and why we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, like you said, I think thinking about that sort of legacy piece, I think that adds a different layer onto it too. It's something when you're carrying something on, especially from family members, versus like, oh, I just opened this as a new business like 10 years ago, or, whatever. It's a little extra something.
Yeah, and this was my grandmother's life. This was everything to her. People, if I say Irma on here, people will be like, "Oh, I remember Irma." Like,
Mhm.
this was everything to her. And my mother's still working with the company, Sherry. She still travels, she still directs just like I do. She goes out, it's just this is everything to us. And it's I honestly I'm very lucky. I can't say that I'm not. This is everything. And I'm so happy I kind of get to do what I love. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. Last and certainly not least, the shameless plug. So this is your opportunity. You have your audience.
Oh gosh.
Tell us about headliners, where to find you, whatever you want to share. This is your chance.
First off, social media, right? You can find us at Headliners Dance. We have an awesome social media team. Follow us. We're also providing some really great educational things on there, not just some photo carousels, but we also have those as well. Our website, headlinersdance.com. You can see all of our tour dates for 2025. Nationals is going to be in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Oh my God, those dates, they're on that website. They are. It's
Mhm.
um, shameless. Oh my God, shameless plug. That's it. We love headliners. We want you to love headliners. That's it. So come experience what we call the headliners experience. And yeah, come check us out.
Love it. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for your time today. It was great getting to chat with you and learn more about headliners.
Yes, thank you, Alyssa.
DanceMed Spotlight is hosted and produced by Alyssa Arms. We discuss all things dance medicine. This has been another episode from DanceMed Spotlight. The DanceMed Spotlight is intended for educational purposes only. No clinical decision-making should be based solely on one source. While care is taken to ensure accuracy, factual errors can be present.